I'll go.
Hi, everybody. Michelle and Josephine here. Hi, Josephine.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Good. Good.
Nice to see you again, all of you. So too bad we don't see your faces, but
Yes.
we're always excited that me and Michelle when we get together and doing the Zoom because we do text on Instagram or stuff like that, right, Michelle? Or we do voice messages, but
Yeah.
we don't often see each other. We only see each other
Right.
when we're Zooming.
When we do the Zoom, right.
Yeah, yeah.
And, December was kind of busy. So, thought we would end the year and start the year with a video.
Yeah, good idea. So this is
Um,
the 31st of December. We're on the
yep.
eve of New Year.
Yes. New Year's
Amazing.
Eve. I was telling Josephine that yesterday I went through my house and I was packing up Christmas. I'm like, I am not going into the new year with 2023. I'm going to start fresh tomorrow morning and not have anything lingering.
I know. Us traditional Catholics, the Orthodox, they're starting their Christmas in January, right? The Orthodox, the Greek Orthodox, Russian, or Armenians, they have their Christmas in January. And Catholics, they have the traditional ones I'm talking about, not the Novus Ordo, because everything has changed with Vatican II. They go up to February 2nd. So
Oh,
it's like the birth of Christ is celebrated for a full more than a month, more than a month.
mm-hmm.
So people are partying. There's always a party, right? Because it's like, I suppose it was that way in the beginning of the century. And it was like, so people were so happy and joyful, and they were looking at, it was a time where they would get together with the family more than friends, because in those days people did have babies, they had big families, and then right, there was big get-togethers. So we haven't really experienced this in our generation as much as the other generation. I'd say not previous to us, because our mom didn't have 10 kids, but maybe like our grandparents, some of our grandparents or great grandparents had many kids,
Yeah.
and so they get together, and so it was like a good time. I remember as a kid, for us it lasted because I came from a province that was all Christian, in the sense it was very Catholic, and everything was closed for 2 weeks. And
Oh,
it was
well.
like, yeah, it was fantastic, because you feel like it's, as a kid it was fun, because you'd go to your grandmother often, you'd be going for dinner here and there, you'd go to your aunts, your uncles, and so it was every night, it was a new place to go and check out, but now we don't live in that same kind of era anymore. The people are more isolated. We're much more isolated now than we were, I'd say maybe even 60, 70 years ago. Because really, when you and I were born, this is where it all started to go downhill even faster, I'd say, much faster. And then
We
when
started to spread out. The thing
yes,
is that people
yes,
started moving away from their families and venturing out. And I think
yes,
that's what really broke everything up. Because when I was young, we spent a lot of holidays with our cousins, our
right,
aunts and uncles and stuff. And then later, when we moved away, my dad and uncle worked for the same company. So I was in the tight knit family situation for a very long time growing up because they worked together. But yeah, eventually then it's like, I lived in a different state. My sister lived in a different state, my brother, my parents, yeah.
yeah, things are spread out today,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't, if let's say you have a sister and she lives in a different state, it's not every year that they're able to come and visit. During the holidays, things are not the same as it was. It could be money, it could be whatever it is, right? It's nothing is as easy as it seems like it was previously. So maybe it wasn't
Which
easy then, but
wasn't, but I think COVID actually, I guess we're not allowed to say that. But anyway, during that time, People were isolated. They also realized how important it was to be near family because of this happening. So, like for me, I'm living near my family for the first time in decades. And my sister's in the area too. So I'm spending more time with my family in the past 2 years than I have in 25 years. Collectively, I probably, couldn't add up as many times as I see them now. So I think, and I've seen that with other people too, is that they've moved closer to their families. So I think in some ways we are kind of going back to some of the old tradition. Um, but in other ways, we're really out there. I'm not even going to talk about that. But
I
I,
know.
yeah.
Because like in 40, I've been away for some 40 some years, and then I came because of my dad. And
hmm
but for the first year, this year, after so many years, we went to a cousin and celebrated Christmas with a bunch of people. It was
hmm
my first cousin, and he had his kids because she owns an Italian grocery catering kind of thing, and it's like I came home exhausted. Okay, I was exhausted, and my mom, she hasn't done it. I mean, she's up there all 86, but the next day she slept till noon. Okay, so it was like a lot, but it's a lot of energy also to be around a lot of people when you haven't
Yeah,
been around a lot of
I
people.
know. I know.
It's like, oh my God,
I
I
get
wouldn't
like
do it
that
every
running
day.
errands. I went to
Exactly.
the grocery store yesterday down further, of this one particular grocery store, and the parking lot was a madhouse, and the lines were so long, and I'm walking around, and I was like almost having anxiety
I know.
because I'm not used to, especially working at home and living alone. I'm not used to being around so many people and so much energy, and people get frustrated and you're getting frustrated, and I'm like, oh, I don't think I could do this all the time. And it could
No.
be age. I think as you get older,
Right.
you get a lot
And
less
it's
patient.
draining, right? It's very draining. It takes
Yeah.
your energy unless you're around people that are like you don't have to make a lot of efforts. But
hmm
when you have to make an effort, and if you're a caretaker, as you and I are, then this means we start conversations. If nobody's talking, we'll be right there making the conversation, ask questions, blah, blah, blah. So that takes a lot of energy, you know? So it's like, would I do this every week? No, I don't think so. It's not that they're not nice people. They're really nice, but,
Well,
they,
you learn what you
yeah,
can handle and what you
yeah,
can't handle. And that's what
right,
I've been doing. And I noticed my boundaries got a little bit blurred, and I'm now starting to be firm with my boundaries and loving. And it's really great. I think I was telling you, my mom invited me down for dinner today. And I was thinking of all the things I had to do. And I'm like, no, I said, no. I said, I'll see you next weekend. I just saw you last weekend. I appreciate it, but I have a lot to do. And that was it. And it's nice that I can do that now and not feel guilty.
right, right, exactly. So
Yeah.
it's all that guilty stuff that we
Right.
carry, right?
Yeah, and that's why people don't have boundaries, because they do feel guilty. And so then what happens is we end up saying yes when we mean a no. And what'll happen is you'll either show up with an attitude, then you're mad at the person, when frankly, it's not their fault. It's my fault if I don't say no when I should mean no. Or I've seen people white lie to get out of it because they didn't want to tell the truth. I don't feel like going,
Yeah,
because you always feel uncomfortable, like what I said, because it seems selfish and not a legit excuse. But to me, it's a legit excuse. If I go and spend a whole day doing that, traveling down there and doing that, then I can't do these other things that I need to do that will relieve a lot of stress from me. So now I've doubled my stress because I said yes when I meant a no because I felt guilty, and then I'm not getting anything done. And that's what most of us do.
yeah, oh yeah. And
Yeah.
when we do that anyways, we're not being honest. Never
Right.
mind, we're not being honest with ourselves. We know we're not being honest with ourselves. but we're really not honest with the other side, with the other people. That's the thing, okay? Because it's true. We carry our baggage with us. We'll carry our attitude with us, you know?
Yeah.
And we may get into an argument, and we don't really want to get into an argument, but because we're a little bit annoyed that we even agreed to go or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, we have to remove the guilt part. That is the big thing, you know, and look at our motives. You know, when we start looking at the motives that we have, that's the biggest thing. So hopefully 2024 will be a time where people are going to be reflecting, and also that there will be a lot of revelations that are going to happen in the 2024. You have an election, you guys, coming up in 2024. So that should be an interesting time, because now, you know, it's in the time of the so-called, the 3 years or 4 years that we went through with the jab and stuff, some of us have not consented to it. But there are going to be things that are coming up that is going to require, again, we're going to be put up against the wall once again for some other reason. And they're going to ask us to consent. If we don't consent, we're okay. It's the consenting that becomes a problem when we consent. So whatever. Yeah, it's the consent. It's like in law, you know, if whatever the judge says or does in front of you, if you learn to not engage with the whatever, and you just sit and do nothing, because fear and anxiety makes us do all kinds of things. We saw that in the last 3-4 years, what that people ended up doing because of fear. And now they're telling you in your face, oh, it wasn't that important. You know what I mean? It's okay if you didn't have it and all. But I mean, during the time it was going on, everybody was put against the wall. And it was like, oh no, this will never end. But everything comes to an end eventually. So now next year with the 2024 election, you guys, it's just caution, to be caution, because it's not just on one side, it's the other side. They're both not well. I'll put it this way. They're both not well.
They're all sociopaths as far as I'm concerned.
You know, they're sick on both sides, whether it's in the Senate, whether it's the one who wants to be elected. I don't care who it is. They're all in on it. You know, it's like they do want that one world order, and we have to come to understand how they do it. It's very hard, because the truth is that their criminal minds is hard for us to grab, because we're not. If you're a criminal, you get it. But if you're not a criminal, it's hard to. They know how to actually soften up our hearts, and if it's easier for women to soften up than it is for men, let's say. But there are men that are, you know, soft as well. So we have to really stay our ground and not give in, because they are going to be, this thing with the jab was nothing compared to what's coming next. We can kind of feel it, you know.
I think that's why it's important to feel solid and grounded in who you are and what you believe. And for me, I haven't watched the news in over a decade. I can't. It was probably 2012, 2011 that I stopped watching the news. So, you know, I don't have a lot of outside influence to my own, you know, thought process. But also when I was young, I was able to see things that other people couldn't see. Like I knew right away that it wasn't two different parties, it was one, and they controlled both. Like I figured that out when I was 19 years old. I'm like, it's so weird, you know, because they spend millions of dollars. One party claims that they care about people, but then they waste all this money. And then the other party, you know, they claim one thing, but then they both spend millions of dollars slandering each other. Well, that money can actually go towards good instead of slandering each other in the news and stuff. So I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Both of them don't make any sense. And that's when I made and then there were things that I saw. The only way that things could happen is that people must be getting blackmailed. Like I figured this all out when I was young.
Definitely.
I was like, I was like, because some of the things that they were doing didn't make sense. It was very contradicting. And so I'm like, the only way that I can see why they're doing certain things is if they're being blackmailed. And so now it's funny because I could talk to people off the street about this and it
Yeah,
completely makes sense.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
30 years ago when I was trying to talk to people or 40 years ago about this, they just looked at me like I was crazy.
No, but it's true because and because it's easy to blackmail these people because they're already compromised.
Right.
And
Yeah.
okay, so they're already compromised, whether it's adultery, whether it's whatever they've done in their past, they do have a past. So they're,
Integrous.
yes,
They're not
so
integrous people, and
no,
they live scrupulous lives, secret lives, and
yes,
then people are easily, and this is why I try not to do anything that I try to look at things of like there's a camera watching me.
yeah,
Well, that camera could be God, whatever you want to call it. If I like say I house sit for somebody, or if I go into someone's office, I'm not going to snoop. I'm not going to snoop in their house. I just pretend there's a camera and do the right thing because I wouldn't want people doing that to me. Well, the average person is not like that, quite frankly. I don't think a lot of people can be trusted. And so if more of us lived like everybody can see you instead of having this
I agree.
duplicate life. There's a lot of people that don't tell people what they do, and they'll have relationships for decades and completely carry secrets of addiction and things like that. So we don't have a very integrous, uh, most people, I would say most people have integrity, but there's a huge group, unfortunately, the ones that are smart, that have money, that are not integrous. And so that's the scary part, is because they can control us through the news and through the elections and things like that. So it's super important that people have their own, thoughts, and to not be in fear. If you're in fear, you're easily manipulated. And then
Yeah,
people who are into stars and music and entertainment industry, they're all liars. So let's just do common sense, people. The whole entire entertainment industry is a lie. They pretend to be something
they're
that
not.
not them, and they do it very well without a
Yes,
conscience. Like I
yeah,
couldn't act. I had to hide from a friend because we were throwing her a surprise birthday party, and I couldn't take any of her calls because I knew I couldn't lie. Like that's how
right,
bad I am. I just
yeah,
avoided her all week.
right, right,
But people just go about their business having no problem lying, having no problem, so the whole entire, you're going to believe an entire entertainment industry that lies for a living. You're going to believe what they say. Like, just that, to me, that's just common sense. Like, I would not take any of their opinions because I don't believe them. They're liars.
right,
They're
right,
habitual
exactly.
liars.
Yes. Yeah. And the thing is, if it's the same thing as when you go to college, you
Yeah.
go to college for 7 years, whatever time you're there in that environment, they brainwash you in that environment. So if you're not academic, then it's going to be Hollywood.
Yeah.
So either or, you'll get brainwashed.
Well,
You'll,
and even the
right?
medical field.
Right.
So you go to the doctor's office and they're going to promote a drug that a pharmaceutical. So some of the highest paid salespeople are in the pharmaceutical industry. They get paid tons. I know people, I'm not close friends with them, but I know people. They make a shit. Oops, sorry. They make a ton of money. So that gets all passed down the pharmaceutical industry. The salespeople are making a lot of money. Well, they're going to do great sales because they want to make the money. So they push it down to the doctors. Well, now the doctors are going to get a cut. So then they push it down to you. The whole thing is just a scam.
It's
So
a
you got
big
to be
scam.
careful who you're listening to. And, the old saying, follow the money.
Yeah.
Follow the money. What are people benefiting from what they're saying? How are they benefiting? Are they benefiting financially? Are they benefiting in having a critical thinking mind, thinking
Absolutely.
past that?
And
Yeah.
then if it's not the money, because that's the criminal aspect, then you have to follow the ideology of these people, then that's when you start to investigate.
Yeah,
Now,
that's even deeper.
that's deeper, because there are some people who, they'll be, it looks like they're not into the money, and but next thing you know, they're selling you an ideology, and that ideology could just bring you straight to hell. Okay, I mean, depression, it can lead you to wanting to kill yourself, basically. It's like a cult. Yeah, right. It's like Jim Jones. He didn't look like the guy who wanted a lot of money, but here you are, all these people that fell in love with him. They fell in love with what he had to say, blah, blah, blah. There are many cults like that, except that we're not just,
Like they're doing good, like you said. I
Yes,
mean,
yes,
there's a popular person on YouTube who has great videos about healthcare, and I
right,
followed him for a while. And then I found out he was into Scientology, and I'm like, oh, so he's doing all this for the church.
exactly.
It sounds good. I think a lot
Yeah,
of what he says is truth, but you got to think, is there an integrous thing behind it? And unfortunately, the bigger people get, and this is why, Josephine and I do not, like, our business stays small purposely, because if we were to grow to what some other practitioners are, I think you lose some integrity, because to be able to, if I was to bring in and match the money that I make on my day job, I would have to sacrifice who I am, and I'd have to sacrifice the quality time that I give to my clients to
absolutely.
match the kind of income that I make on my day job. So that's why I keep my day job. And I'm grateful that my boss knows what I do on the side, and he's fully supportive. He knows I do this. And then I don't ever feel like I have to do anything with my clients that has to do with my paycheck. I should be paid for the services that I offer. I'm not going to do it for free. But, I don't ever
Absolutely.
want to feel like I'm driven by money. And
Right.
so then you got to think, look at people, like, what are they selling? If they're selling something and they're making a profit, they're going to tell you that it's great because they're making money off of it. So they're not going to tell you the product's bad.
Right.
So just look at everything and everybody when you go to them. In a way, you don't want to be totally paranoid, but you just want to think, should I really believe this person because they look popular and because they're saying everything that sounds good?
Exactly, because if it's not one thing, it's also could be where, especially in the wellness industry now, in the last 4 years, it just boomeranged even more. And so everybody has branched out. I know some people who are doing all kinds of different things. You don't need much to be a nutritionist.
Yeah.
And the government does not regulate it. And
Mm-mm.
there's a purpose. It's all by design. Okay, it's all by design. They don't regulate it, just like the drugs a little bit. Okay, and so for now they're not regulating it until one day they're just going to want to hammer the supplements. So here in Canada, they've been trying, and it could happen eventually because we're pretty much on the borderline over here where they're going to have complete control because there's so much profit. It's just like the drugs that was sold under the table with the marijuana, and finally they made it legal because the government wanted to have a share of it. So they
Yeah.
become gangsters themselves.
I think
Let's
they
put
buy
it.
out a lot of these big organizations
Yeah,
too. So
right,
you think, like, I think, Bill Gates is buying out certain things,
right.
like Bragg's, apple cider vinegar. So you got to watch, because the things that you thought were good companies have sold out to the people that you don't want to be buying from. So it's really just a weird time that we have to have
Investigate. That's it.
discernment, and really look at, follow the money, follow the ideology, like, why could they, or have they shifted and changed? Did they seem like they were really for people, and then all of a sudden they look like, you can tell when all of a sudden it's about the money? Everything, you're getting spammed with emails, like, you can
Yes,
tell when they do that shift.
yes.
So just be careful, mindful. Just because somebody's not popular, and by no means doesn't mean that they're qualified. And in fact, I think that people who are vibrating at a higher frequency are not actually popular. It's the people that are that can easily fool people. So they look very charming, they look very popular, and those are the ones that you should be careful of.
Yeah, and there's
Dating
plenty.
too.
No, that's right, exactly. But there's so much, so many that if I would have to start all over again, I'd be confused. I'd be very confused on which direction, because everybody's got a pitch. They
Yeah.
all have a pitch. They really, they all sound. Everybody has become such a good communicator, and they're very good marketers. Most people are really good at marketing themselves, marketing everything they do, and you're really convinced that the program, whatever they're taking on, whatever it is, whether it's on nutrition, whether it's on other things. I think that it's time for us to really, like Michelle said, to discern. Discernment is the most important thing. I mean, I've been doing this for quite a long time now, and with people that used to be working with Dr. Wilson, would call me, and I would let them know, that they would spend too much time. It was like it became too much of a religion for them.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you don't put God first on everything, and this is, I mean, it sounds easy. It's the hardest thing we have to do, because we've been controlling everything. You know what I mean? We're always controlling everything.
Well, it's the ego that gets us in trouble.
Exactly.
So when the ego,
Constantly. So to be we always want to be in the driver's seat, but the minute we let loose and we're not in the driver's seat, and we just have the faith and we let it just happen, because it's like there's no miracles in anything you do. I don't care what kind of program you're going to do, there will be no miracles. Okay.
Nobody has all the answers, and not
Exactly.
all the supplements are going to help you. Not the best of the diet's going to help you.
Yeah.
It's really a combination of things. I'm finally at a place that I feel like really good. Like I don't have to be super strict. I don't have to follow everything perfectly at all. Because I had to work on other things that led me there. So, you got to look at, is it a mindset? Is it a relationship? Is it, the past, trauma? Like there's other things, because if you don't heal that, all the supplements and the diets are not going to do anything. And, being super consumed with it creates a different kind of unhealthiness. I kind of, explain to my clients, do it, but don't be married to it. Don't make it like this. Don't idolize it. Don't, you got to do it without being attached. Attachment is the source of a lot of problems. Between the ego and attachment, those two things will make us miserable. So don't be attached to it. Just kind of do it, and then work on the things that are really deep.
Yeah, because most of the time, really, it's not even there's much more disease now than there's ever been, anyways, and it's really the loss of our own spirituality, our connection to God, and wherein people in the old days, even though they may not have lived as long, they still had a better connection. This thing of people today are sick. We're sick. We're talking chronic fatigue.
Mentally ill.
Mentally ill.
We have more
Lots of
mental illness now than ever before. I mean, you just see it every single day when you go out and about. It's just unbelievable, the kind of mental illness that we have. And I think it's a combination of things. It's a combination of passed down, trauma, passed down mineral imbalances, passed down, like our food, and water and everything is not as quality as before. And then we're bombarded with all this social media, and there's people that look really good and they're lying and
Yes.
they're using filters and they're using surgeries and they're
Yes.
making all this money and they're flashing it and they're telling people, you know, you can drive this Ferrari and have all this cash if you do this or you do that. And so people are just, I would not want to be young right now for anything. I will take my wrinkles and my achy joints in the morning. I'm sorry if
Me
you're
too.
young and watching this, I feel for you. You're living in a really tough world. And the best thing you can do is to really shut the world out, because if you can't look at social media without being depressed and wanting to have someone else's life, then it might be an idea to limit your exposure to it, because I think it's causing a lot of mental illness in people.
Yeah. It's as bad as the TV, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that too.
that's it. It's as bad as the TV. It's as bad as CNN or Fox News or
Yeah.
whatever. If you don't know if you just go on YouTube and you don't really know what you're looking for, that's a problem. If you
Yeah.
just go and listen to one person that you know, that you can trust, you feel good listening to that person. You want to have some news, if it's a homily, whether it's a preacher, whatever, and it brings you, because really that's what we have to have here. We have to have faith, we have to have hope, and charity. Those are the three things we need to have in order to feel like because no matter what happens in 2024, whatever beyond, okay, it doesn't really matter. It's the faith that we have to have, because we're not in control of whatever's going to happen. That's basically it, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. So with we're always going back to the same thing, but it doesn't matter. At the same time, we're cranking it to let people know, because the truth is it's becoming worse every time. Like, we don't do this for maybe 2 or 3 months, you and I, but we kind of see it. If I go on Instagram,
Yeah.
it's like everywhere. It's like Instagram, Facebook, because I don't go on Facebook. I don't join any groups or anything like that, but I see it on Instagram a lot. And it's like unbelievable. It's if I, like you said, I wouldn't want to be young. I wouldn't want to be me neither. It's too bad for the young ones, but I do have clients that are young, and I do try to guide them in the right direction, so that, because some of them, they keep on going elsewhere. They go look at other people, and they go here, and they're like rats in a cage. Really, they're like little rats in a cage running around, and they don't know which way to go, because they're not feeling good, and really they're broken spiritually. These people, the younger generation is even worse off than us, because they
The
had us.
younger generation is doing enhancements to the young women are getting fake eyelashes,
Yes,
fake eyebrows, fake hair,
right.
surgeries. You know, they're doing things to change themselves at such a young age. Like, I'm going to be 56, and if I spend too much time looking at that stuff, or, you know, thinking about the certain things that are happening to my face and my skin as I age, you can spiral really quick. If you don't have a solid foundation and good mental health, which I do, but there's times that, you know, I'm human. If it's a great day for a few days because I have seasonal depression, I haven't talked to anybody, I can easily go down a rabbit hole. We all have that ability. So that's why I understand that it could be really dangerous. Like, you shouldn't be doing those things at such a young age. Like, you know, I wouldn't even want to do all those things, because what happens is you can't keep up with it. And what you have to keep doing more, and we get disfigured more when we look at ourselves, because then you're looking for more. And I think this is what happens to a lot of people when they get work done. They start to look really bad because they're just constantly making changes and looking at things. You know, I put a comment on a facelift thing. I just started looking at it. And before you know it, I'm like looking at my face. I want to get this work done. You know, it's just normal. Okay. And I'm not saying I would never do something, you know, but
Right.
when
But
you're
it's
doing
easy
it
to
at
go
such a
down
young,
this.
yeah, you don't want to be super consumed with it, you know. So I said the best way to deal with this is to just stop staring in the mirror. I have a
Yes.
small mirror so that I can see me put my makeup on, but I don't stare for long. Like I put everything on, I'm like, okay, looks good. And then that's it. I'm not going to sit there and start. It's easy. I can start picking away at all the things that I don't like about myself, but I know that that'll put me in a dark place. So I just say, it is what it is. So I think that that's the thing is people don't get consumed with this stuff because if you're doing this at a young age and then you get older, then you're too focused on what you look like outside and you can't keep up with it. Eventually, you just have to give in that you're getting older. That's the part of life,
Well,
I mean,
that's
God
it.
was smart. That's why our eyesight goes. Our eyesight goes so we don't have to look at this stuff.
Yeah,
You
that's a
know,
good
I
that's a
don't I
good
don't work
point.
on my mustache. Like if I see little hairs coming out, if I'm going to be around people my age or older, I don't get too consumed. But if I'm going to be around young people, I might want to pay attention because their eyesight is better. And so they're going to see those things. But if I'm going to be around older people, I don't care because I know their eyesight isn't very good and they won't see the black hair coming out of my.
Yeah, because today at 25, they already feel like they have to do something about their facelift.
Yeah,
They're already thinking a facelift at 25,
I know.
right? It's like, wow, I mean, 25 years old, they're already, but that's coming from their parents. Don't forget,
Yeah.
it's not just coming from TV or social media. It's also coming from their parents, their mother. I see men of 45, they take selfies, and I'm thinking, oh wow, I mean, there we have men that have become like women who are looking at themselves in the mirror and all they want to hear is how handsome they look, so they
Yeah.
put pictures of themselves so they can hear how wonderful and handsome they look. And I mean, that's not manly at all. This is something a woman would do more often than men, but today it's equally the same. Today it's
Yeah.
the same thing. And it's really the way everybody has been brought up, in the sense of materialistically, we've all been with the me. We have not decreased, but if anything, we have increased and decreased God completely. And I think we need to do that in 2024 because I think we're all going to need some faith way more than we have before. And I just let go and let God, because whatever happens, we have no control. Even if it's really bad, we have no control because
No.
things, you see, we can't control the whole world right now. So I mean, look at what with everything going on in the Middle East. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking every time I eat, I pray before before we have our meals. And I'm thinking, and we prayed, these people, yeah, some of them are being murdered and some of them are being decapitated and whatever. I don't want to get into details or too specific, but it's like unreal. We live in it's getting to a point where it's always been a war is a war. It's never
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
But
I
when
don't
you
think
go
there'll
out,
ever be peace on earth because
no,
you're dealing with people that are just born
that's
in
it.
not a good frame of mind. So you're going to have issues no matter what. But the
That's
only
it.
thing
I
we can do
agree.
is work on ourselves anyway.
Yeah, because basically heaven is not here. So that's a fact. I know the
Mhm.
Protestants believe it is, but it's really, we can have it within. We can find it within, but eventually we all die. We have to
Yeah.
come to grips with that. I mean, we're not going to live to be 150. I'm not so sure I would want to live to be
Yeah.
150. You know what I
I
mean?
don't. I don't want to
It's
wake up
like,
with aches and pains.
no,
I
I
already
mean,
do. Like, I can't. Sometimes I think, gosh, I'm probably going to live, if I live naturally, another 25 years. So if I got 25 years and the way that I wake up feeling achy in the morning at almost 56, I'm like, I don't want to be here at 100 years old. First of all, I'm going to run out of money and I don't have anybody to take care of me. So I
no,
hope
and
I go
what
when the
about
money
your
goes.
mom? Is your mom like when she was 56? Because my mom tells us that all the time, that her when she was in her 60s, and I believe her because she was cross country skiing and she was doing her rollerblades and everything, that she didn't have these aches like we have, Gina and I.
Yeah.
She says. And she says sometimes she tells me I imitate her because I lose my glasses. I can't remember where I put them. And she says, really, I think you're trying to imitate me because, she's
Your mother's
87.
funny.
Yeah, she's very funny. And I say, no, really, Mom. But she says, if you're not imitating me, then something's wrong. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
only 64. I mean, get with it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So it's like, but I think, I don't know, maybe we're being zapped with so many things. It's hard to say,
Well,
it's
we
not,
have a lot more, we live in a different life than, our parents, grandparents did. There's a lot of they didn't have cell phones. They didn't have the radiation that
yes,
we were, exposed to. So there's a lot of things, and I think it gets worse over time. So even though they're trying to scientifically prolong life with anti-aging, it's also there's a lot of things that we didn't have decades ago that are causing more problems.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. So anyways, we'll see. We're always trying to kind of manage things here. But anyways,
Yeah.
we're hoping that you're enjoying this little chat, and we hope that you have a wonderful new year, a holier year that's coming for everybody, that we need to be more holy for all of us so that people can actually feel for others, because right now there's a lot of hatred around the world. It's not just
Yeah.
one place, it's everywhere. And I mean, that we have a lot of reasons to be frustrated, but there's nothing much we can do about it. That's a fact. Gotta laugh a little bit more.
I know. That's what I do is I try to laugh at things
Yeah.
because, we can't control it, I'm just grateful. For me, the last part of the year ended really well. I'm in a really good place. I love that I had a great night's sleep last night. All my Christmas decorations are gone and I'm ready for 2024. I don't really have much stress in my life at all.
No,
There's a
that's
little bit of work,
fantastic.
but it's all manageable. It's really, when I look at a year ago and I look at today, completely different life. It changed in all kinds of ways. And I wake up every morning so grateful. I just thank God. I just say thank you. Thank you,
Oh
thank you,
yeah,
thank you
absolutely.
for everything that put me where I am today. It wasn't easy and I learned from it all. I wish everybody that was a part of my journey the best. And, that's it.
No, that's it. And I mean, so now the going forward, just it's one step at a time. And so long as when we're in a good place, sometimes we look for trouble. So we
Yeah.
have to be cognizant about that, right?
Yes, I was talking to Josephine before we started this video, that I'm in a really great place. I feel very peaceful, very balanced. I'm sleeping good. I feel grounded. I'm grateful. I have a great work environment. I love what I do. I love Josephine and what I do with the wellness. And I don't, I just want to enjoy this, I don't want to go venture out. I don't want to take on any new responsibilities. I don't want to volunteer for anything. I just want to be and just enjoy this, instead of having something that I'm focused on and dealing with.
Exactly. No, this is perfect. And it's like
Yeah.
a new learning curve for you
Yeah.
as well, right? Because you're
Yeah.
the kind of person who takes on a lot. You're used to it since you've been a kid. You've been caretaking the whole world,
Mm-hmm.
starting with
Yeah.
mom and dad, and then the
Yeah.
sister, then everybody else, because that's
Yeah.
how it is. We take
Yeah.
it with us until death, you
Right.
know, unless we kind of like, yes, we do some therapy, then we start recognizing
Mm-hmm.
our little things that we do that's not working. It's not beneficial for us, it's not beneficial for people around us either, really.
Yep. I just got the animals to take care of. Right.
Yeah, and they're so happy. Look at these.
I know.
Hey, hey,
Okay.
hi.
Here,
how's your cat
here
doing?
she
Oh, there
is.
she is.
Hi,
Oh,
baby.
oh, she's so old. Look at her toe, her
I
tail.
know.
Oh,
She's
poor
so
thing.
skinny. Like
Oh,
I picked her
no.
up the other day because she was just meowing. Like I'll fill up her bowl, and then like 30 minutes later, she wants me to put more food in it, and she's just meowing and meowing. Look at her.
Yeah. So
But
she
come
eats, huh? She has a good
She
appetite.
eats. She has a good appetite. I mean, her thyroid might be a little fast. She's super skinny. When I picked her
Yeah.
up, I was like, wow, she is so light. I mean, at one point, hi, okay, I know. You too, okay.
Yeah.
So that's my
So
whole day is just catering to them.
yeah, well, that takes a lot of actually taking care of, and that you have good company.
Yeah, and so the thing is with caretaking, you don't get as much back as you give in a
Right.
lot of those roles, especially if you take on people that want healing, I mean, need healing, but they don't necessarily want it. So
Right.
that's when you come into a problem where you're stressed out. I got rid of all those people. So now I just have the animals, which give me tons of love, so I'm very happy to cater to them.
Yeah, well,
You know?
that's it. It's
Yeah.
a mutual like him, like her. Look at her. She's
Look at
looking at you. Where do you think she wants to go outside?
No, it's almost 3 o'clock. She's counting
Okay.
down. She's got 20 minutes to her next treat, and she's Miss Foodie. So watch. I know it's not time to eat. It's not time to eat. I know. You're so sad.
Amazing. Look, look.
Come here. Okay, there you
Okay,
go.
there
Oh,
you go. Now you're on TV. Look at this. They're gonna want, they're gonna see you everywhere.
I
Oh,
know.
where's the other one?
She is underneath the desk.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I just
so
had these
this
little
is,
shadows.
guys, this is Michelle's little babies.
This is
And
Jasmine,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then my cat is KK, and then Dee Dee, who is the one that got attacked by the dog and she survived. She's underneath the desk. She's a little skittish, so
Yeah,
yeah.
well, she hasn't gotten better, or she's gotten better since she
She's
had.
good, but she was always kind of skittish, She has separation anxiety, so when I run errands, she's just like, I'm gone an hour, and she's like, "Roar," like she gets so excited when I show up, like I've left for good. So she tore my weather stripping on the bottom of my door, like she'll paw at it, I can't leave them for long.
Okay,
Jasmine's good.
look at her. Look, the cat is right next to you. Did you
I
see it?
know, sweetheart, you want your food. I know. Yeah, so all day is her meowing for food. But she's still happy
All
and
right,
she's
she's
still
gonna live a
kind.
long life, this one, because she's got a good appetite.
Yeah, and she's I think they're all like very sweet and loving, and I have a very loving, calm environment, which I think is super important. If you have animals, they are very sensitive to environments. So if you've got TV blasting, people arguing this and that, well, your animals are going to respond to that and they might have, behavioral issues or whatever. They're all three of them are really sweet, very good. People love them. They can't wait to see them. They let me bring them to their house, even when they don't normally let animals at their house. So I'm really grateful, but they have a nice environment. I don't watch TV often. And when I do, it's at night. I don't have any like war blasting and
Right,
cursing and all
right,
kinds.
exactly. It's very
There's
quiet.
no TV in my room. I haven't had a TV in my room in over a decade. Yeah, it's a nice peaceful environment. So
Yeah, exactly. That helps. That helps them for sure. It's like
yeah,
children. They're like children,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
So
that's
I'm
nice.
happy. I'm very excited, Josephine, that I think everybody will probably do a little bit more videos because I had a accounting client that I kept after I took my full-time job. And then I let that accounting client go, which really just opened up a lot for me, and so I feel a lot less responsibility. So now I get to do this more and not have to work on the weekends doing other things.
Yeah, so we can think of if anybody's got a something that they really want us to talk about, please put it in the comments. If you like this video, please put the thumbs up for Michelle. And yeah, so, give us some ideas of what you would like us to talk about. Is there a vitamin? Is there a supplement you want us to talk about? Is there some minerals that you have questions about? Not just about disease. You can have a disease. It could be arthritis. It could be
Just other
chronic.
programs, like other
Yes,
things that you're
yes,
curious about, because
yeah,
we've tried everything. We can talk
yeah.
about that. And I think if we do videos more often, they won't be as long as us, because Josephine and I don't talk very often. So then we start talking and we just talk about a whole bunch of different things. So we
That's it,
can do
exactly.
them more often. They can be more focused and structured instead of,
That's it. Just give us let us know. Help us
yeah,
out. We need some help.
yeah.
That's it. No big deal. We need some help. So,
Please be safe tonight if you're
yes,
going anywhere, because there's people who drink and drive. So be safe. I wish you a very happy new year, and we look forward to spending 2024 with you.
yes, me too. We're looking forward to seeing hopefully new faces, new subscribers, and I'm looking forward to 2024 for sure. It'll be an interesting year. We're living in very interesting times, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So nice
All right,
seeing you, Michelle.
everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.